Okay, I've added a few things to the table, little items to bolt it down. So I'm just going to update you on that. Let me move out of the way here. Okay, so what I've added here is a little camera with a little 45 that looks straight up. And this is for inspection of the parts. The feeders, again, the first batch will be going along here. And then I've added this board holder here. And so this piece here can move this way to allow for wider and smaller boards, up to I think about 10 or so inches wide and about 12 or 10 inches wide. So it's a 10-inch square. It's pretty big. I mean, I'm just a homebrew guy here. So, and then I added this little alignment target here. This is just for calibrating the head. All that's on there is a little set of crosshairs, and this is bolted down and in a fixed place, so you can return there for checking and making sure things stay square and aligned. And this camera is a Celestron microscope. Very nice, very easy to use. It's just a USB. I haven't dressed this in yet. And there's two of them. There's also one over here in the head that I added, also looking down. Okay, here's a little update with the software. I don't believe I actually went over this too much last time. I guess a little bit. This is all. Now I've now moved over to Visual Studio 2015, and which is really nice. And this is the updated version here. So what I have is just all these little tabs. It's basically everything. And I've moved a lot of stuff over here in this area here where I have sort of some jog features and some various stuff. I've also added a little camera with a reticle here, so we can turn that off for the moment. But so this is just a configuration for the Ethernet portion of the electronics. So if I just say report, it queries it, and then it asks them, you know, this you know, model number, all that stuff. That's all burned into the code as I programmed it. So this used to be the jog page. Now it's just a debug page. I just use it so I can do little tests of sending commands to the motors and getting responses and that kind of stuff, motor controllers. So the next tab is called the, we'll just go over here to table setup. So there's a lot of variables in the table. And one thing I've discovered that's actually very important is the boards, when you order them, are not exact. The boards can tend to be scaled. The scale tends to be off a very tiny amount, but it's significant when you're placing 603s and that 600 series parts. I don't have those memorized yet. So I had to create a little scale factor. So but that said, this is a lot of this stuff is just temporary. I guess I won't even go into a whole lot of detail, but then there's some calibration for the motors and things like that. So this box here is the downward viewing camera, and if we go to the capture tab here, this is the upward viewing camera. Of course, they're not looking at anything right now. So after this table set up here, I have the go home, find home X and Y, and then I have the first thing is that calibration thing. So we'll just go over there. And you can see here, it's this is a little tiny print I made on my laser printer. It's very small, but here it looks gross because it's looking at it under a microscope. But if we turn on the crosshairs, it's pretty close. It's within a couple thousandths. So we will now go to the let's go to the alignment camera. And if we look at capture here, we can see here's the nozzle just showed up. If I jog off real quick, right, you can see. Oh, there's the downward viewing camera right there. So we'll just come back here real quick, and we're pretty accurate there. So, and if I lower the pick down, right, you can see it gets out of focus. So this is where the system would look at the part and derive an outline of the part, and you can see here it just made an outline of the tip of the nozzle, and then derive the rotational angle. So we'll go directly over here to placement, and here I have a import feature where I can import the ORCAD file and then save it as my own format, because there will be times when you want to adjust these. You won't want to place all these parts and which feeder number it uses and all that stuff. So we'll go here to one of the capacitors, and we'll just say camera to place. And here's our little C2, and then here's the part here, so I'll just say go to next. And so on. So this is just pulling the file out of the placement file. It's pulling the data. I have it skipping the stuff on the bottom because obviously you're not going to see that. And then of course there's some components that are too big to see, but the placement will be the same. And there's a great deal more I've been figuring out and learning here. So as you can imagine. And that's about it. So then we have the parts and feeders. So working on that right now. So if I pull in this, I have 2 part feeders defined, and of course they're not in there. So that's it. So debug placement. This is the placement file. You can scroll down here, and this is the actual file from the layout program. Table setup, all the X and Y important features, and capture, which is where it's going to view the part, calculate the angle, parts and feeders, and that's about it for the software.